That's right, Orcust has risen itself from the brinks of destruction to become one of the most insane decks in modern era history. New meta means new chance to see how things are going. Make sure you guys smash the and crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. So we're going to be starting things off here with your new S tier, and it is Orcust and Blue-Eyes. Yes, that's right. The Blue-Eyes deck and Orcust, both of these new challengers stepping up out here and just showing the massive power they have. A tier is going to be Momento and Malice. I still don't think that Malice truly deserves to be where it is right now, but it doesn't make sense. B tier, we have Risal. You can thank 1EX for that. We have the Azamina stuff. Tenpai still kind of coming around out here. Gem Knights, we can't forget that Block Dragon has allowed that deck to do well. And we still are seeing Christons out here being a very strong contender as well. Now, C tier, we have Chimera, Labyrinth, the Fiendsmith, Snake Eyes pile, Dragon Maids being rogue is hilarious, and we have Voiceless voice down here as well. D tier, we also getting the chance to see some of the Primite Fiendsmith stuff. We have Water, Punk, and Jirax. Let's pass on over to what these deck lists are looking like. Starting things off here, we have your current iteration of Orcust, and yes, Double Crescendo has turned into the way to play this deck. You have to understand, when you're fundamentally looking at the Orcust pile right now, Double Crescendo is the engine. Getting Dark Machine locked is absolutely no problem whatsoever out here because you just don't care. Being able to continue through the turn and being able to have the Fiendsmith cards sitting next to you is just a testament to how broken this deck has become. Blue-Eyes, on the other hand, out here, choosing to play 2 Blue-Eyes for the bricks because, you know, sometimes those buy steal cards will be a little bit of an inconvenience to ruin your day. But this triple Spirit Dragon rushing on through here is really good. You do see that we are doing the old Blue-Eyes synchro now in order to kind of get things going. I also see that we're playing the Twin Burst Blue-Eyes in here as well. I guess some of the older tech choices are coming on back into the meta out here to actually help this deck do its thing. We also have some Momento action. Now, it amazes me that Momento sees as much play as it does in the OCG because the TCG looks at this. In our Momento list, minus Appaloosa is the only difference between the TCG and the OCG standard for this. But this deck just does horribly on our side of the game. And it just really proves that there are some major differences between our evolving metas out here that just kind of make you go, huh? Well, that's very interesting. Next up is Malice, and Malice is not in a very good position in the OCG right now. I'm going to be honest with you. As much as I hype this up, for whatever reason, this deck is just underperforming. And maybe that Allure Darkness to 1 really did hurt. I don't think that it did, though. Because, you know, you still have Appaloosa as an end board piece. You know, sure, you can get Cybers locked, but the way that Momento, I guess, just kind of checks this deck, it is just crazy to see the differences between our meta shining out here. Next up here, we have Risal. Yes, they have finally been forced to start playing Palm in this deck, which I think is the most hilarious thing, by the way. That we laughed at Palm for so long. All of a sudden, Palm has become this nice little card that we're returning back to out here going, huh, maybe we need to play this. Also, the Spirit Package returning back into this deck because the Spirit Extenders were literally just the easiest go-to pieces to have. Yeah, makes sense. Next up here, we have, oh man, Azamina Snake Eye. Yeah. I gotta tell you, for what this deck is doing and its current limitations, not having to deal with Snake Eyes on our side of the game is really, really nice. But the TC or OCG is still kind of holding on to this particular version, being the little stronger rogue choice for sure. I don't think we're gonna have to continue to deal with this on our. Oh, this deck is dead. R.I.P. Losing OSS was the nail in the coffin. Tenpai, triple singing Kaiman still allowing this thing to do whatever it wants to do. But I mean, Chandra and the field spell going to 1 and the TCG not needing to deal with this anymore was fine. Now, obviously, remember the inboard piece for this deck and the OCG allows them to put Baron on the field. And, well, we've kind of seen that Baron can be a little bit good for a deck like this. To be honest with you, there's not really much else to say. You just board break and go. Current Gem Knights. Yeah, you know what makes this deck incredibly stupid? Block Dragon. You're going to notice something kind of different about this list, though. This is a Primite build of this. What we're actually doing with this is it looks like we're doing some Fiendsmith shenanigans in here, kind of upset and punish your opponent, which is pretty good. And then, of course, just putting the Desiree up and continuing rolling on through. But this is really, really a nice change of pace. Not having to deal with Block Dragon? Okay. Next up, I see we're doing some Crestron plays. And with the Crestron stuff, I see we're playing 2 titles in here. Okay, so little Mill from the deck is, I guess, gotten some action going here. In terms of the Crestron stuff, you don't... This deck is still a mystery to me. I'm very much wondering how the TCG is going to handle this deck, or if this deck is just going to kind of be a come on in and be forgotten about challenger. Next up here, we have, oh yes, the Chimera deck. You know, you get 1 new card in here, and it's going to be the card that allows you to bridge the gap to the Azamina stuff, which is going to be fine. I think it does help, but I don't think that the TCG... I think we're just going to kind of leave this deck in the rogue category, and it's going to be kind of just that. You've got to remember out here when you're looking at this deck, the TCG just, I don't know, man, we just don't like this. Next up is Labyrinth. TCG does love this deck, though, especially when we have as much Risal kind of running around as it feels like we do anymore. I do see that we are playing the Trap card for the Fiendsmith package. Once again, the Fiendsmith stuff being that nice little pulled-together piece. I also see that this build is choosing to play the Power Sync Stone. The fact that we are back to Power Sync Stone is comedy gold, man. Like, yes. All right, I like that a lot. We've also got, oh man, Snake Eyes. So yes, you are still doing the Fiendsmith stuff in here. But in terms of the way that this build looks like, Snake Eyes, TCG having lost OSS, made us realize that we no longer have to deal with this. I assume that maybe the OCG will follow suit eventually, but getting this deck out of our meta was one of the better choices that we have had. Unfortunately, loss of value across the board, but it happens. Dragon Maids. Dragon Maids have been one of the better rogue options that have been sitting around out here as of late. The cool thing with Dragon Maids is they kind of just have the infinite conga line of monsters that you can just kind of wall up, and then, you know, having Shio be the Omni Negate. And then, yeah, I mean, you're kind of just in a very good position when this deck starts rolling. As long as you're able to set up the control strat and the Congo line, you're gonna be fine. Like, that's all you got to do, man. We've also got Voiceless voice action for you here. In terms of surprises for this deck, there really isn't any. Double Saravis is pretty standard. You're back on the Nadir Servant package because the Nadir stuff is going to be the very consistent lines for you. You don't want to start messing around with the consistency of these lines. We've definitely learned our lesson about hurting things in terms of the consistency. If it works, don't break it. All right? So, true words have never been spoken. This is the vanilla Fiendsmith line, where you're using the Primite stuff. You're calling Pity. Pity comes on out. Pity's little whole goal is to be this little bridge gap, and then you go down full line. And then you can see the Rexstrom Tremende down here being the strong boss monster that you needed to be. You still get to play Scythe. Scythe hawking your opponent is so stupid. OCG, I don't know what you were thinking with this, but you made a lot of people very upset with that last list. We also have some Mermail action for you in here. I do see that we are kind of bringing it all together for good old General Ryo out here. Ryo's entire purpose is to grind your opponent out of monster effects. Mullen Glacia shaves away resources from your opponent. Of course, you're able to get General Ryo on the field just by making Lancia the big old Synchro Dragon. And, I mean, the fact you have all the extra new support for Mermails just kind of allowed this deck to evolve into a slightly more consistent creature to disrupt your opponent. Next up here, we have Punk. You know, I figured Punk might be doing a little bit better because the new cards were solidly really, really good, but no, Punk has just kind of been forgotten about, honestly. This is, I think, the first Punk list that I have seen be successful out here, which tells me, while I think that the engine's good, it's not generating the results that we have. You can thank the Fiendsmith package, once again, for being the staples to hold together to allow a deck like this to play. And then we've also got some Jirac action for you out here. I do see that we are playing the new little dinosaurs or the little paper dinosaurs in here this week. Whew, we're really moving up the innovation ladder out here. Having the cute little dinosaurs be our new little friends out here is really good. Also, take note of that system down there. Been seeing a little bit more of that show up, but that's all I have for you guys today. Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.